Just want to direct you all's attention to the board right here. We're going to just show a few photographs of just me, my sister, and my father, Marlon Primes, just growing up, participating in Bar Association events in Cleveland and around the country. Pretty much our dad, he just watched us grow up over the years. You know, it's funny just look at these pictures because when I was that age, I wanted to be this age so bad. Then I grew up and realized this age is not really that fun. But in the end, we are young adults now, and we are honored to direct your attention to the members of the head table walking to the stage from the back of the room. The head table includes judges, honored guests, our bar CEO, and bar officers. And most importantly, including the next president of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, the man, the myth, the legend, my father, Marlon Primes.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Marcus, and thank you, everyone, for joining us here today for the 11th annual meeting of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association. I'm Becky Rupert McMahon. I'm the CEO at the bar, in addition to being the executive director for the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation, the charitable arm. As we get started today, I begin where my third grade teacher, Ms. Farbach, once told me was the best way to begin, and that's with a couple of quick thanks. First, I'd like to offer my thanks to all the wait staff and the employees of the Marriott who've been working all hard this week to get this luncheon to come together for us, so I offer them my sincere thanks. Also, thank you to Bumble Media, who is the videographer of choice of the Bar Association. You can see a synopsis of their work coming up later in the program, and then we'll also have a commemorative video from today. And most especially, thank you to Krista Munger, who is our annual meeting maestro, and all of the members of my team, Team CMBA, who helped pull together all the many, many details that go into planning this lunch. None of it would be possible without your collaborative effort. Special thanks also, quick shout out before we have our invocation, to our sponsors of today. Our sponsors make this day a reality and our year possible every year. Our platinum sponsors today are two of the very best technology partners that a bar could ever have, All Covered and Toshiba Business Solutions. And our goal, yeah. And our gold sponsors today are our partners with the Cleveland Martial Law Alumni Association, the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, Maloney and Novotny, Porter, Wright, Morris, and Arthur, and our great friends Walter Haverfield, who have shared Darrow with us for the last year. We thank you. And if you turn to the back of your program, you can see a full list of all of the sponsors today. I would encourage you to thank them. You see the signs, you see the Back to the Future table signs. We really couldn't do this without you, so thank you for bringing this all together for us today. And finally, I thank everybody else who's here who has helped us deliver a sellout annual meeting this year, which we are thrilled to do. I know we are packed in. We actually oversold. So if you're feeling a little claustrophobic, it's because we have a really full house. At this time, I would like to invite Reverend Todd C. Davidson of the Antioch Baptist Church to offer our invocation.
If you would, bow with me for our invocation. Eternal Creator, we pause at this moment to express our deep gratitude for this very special day. We thank you for this chance to share the company of our friends, our colleagues, and acquaintances. We thank you for the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, its leadership and supporters, and for its unyielding promotion of legal professionalism and ethics. We're grateful for the Cleveland Bar Association's creative public service initiatives and commitment to diversity and multidisciplinary collaboration, which serve for us here in Cleveland as a unique model for community empowerment and transformation. As the leadership of this organization transitions, we seek your blessings upon those assuming new roles and all of those who work tirelessly to ensure that this bar association forever fulfills its mission. Continue to allow this association to cultivate a collaborative community culture where we utilize our intellectual resources for the greatest good we can achieve here in Northeast Ohio. Grant us this day and every day your presence, your power, and your peace. Bless our food and our fellowship, and allow this gathering to serve your intended purposes for it. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much, Reverend Davidson. And please, head table, be seated. Everyone, enjoy your lunch. I hate to break up the conversation, but we do have a little business to conduct at this annual meeting. As you continue to enjoy your lunch, I will say just a couple more words about our head table that's up here today. It is a big table, and this is a terrific group of individuals who are critically important to our bar association, to our profession, and to both our president, both outgoing and incoming. There is a full list on page 5 of your program. If you'd like, if you can't read the table tents on the table, if you'd like to look at page 5, you can see everyone who's joining us. But I tell you, we are thrilled and delighted to have representation from all of our courts in Northeast Ohio. We are so pleased everyone is here. But chief among those who are seated up here today at the head table are some of my favorite people. Darrell Clay, who has spent the past year as president of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association and has that honor for about another 16 minutes. Mitch Blair, who has served ably and faithfully the last year as the president of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation. And then we also have our 2 incoming presidents. At a certain point in the program, we'll shift all of our focus to the right. Marlon Primes, our incoming president of the Bar Association, and Stephanie Duchess Trudeau, who will be coming in as our new president of our Bar Foundation. We are profoundly indebted to all of you for your willingness to answer the call to lead our bar and to support not only the good works that we do, but the incredibly important work that our profession does throughout Northeast Ohio and beyond. Our head table also includes an out-of-town guest who is joining us today. Juan Thomas, the 2017-18 president of the National Bar Association, is here. At the invitation of President-elect Marlon Primes, Juan traveled to Cleveland to support his friend and to offer a greeting from his bar association to ours. Juan, we welcome you to Cleveland. The mic is yours.
I hail from Chicago, and I'm honored to be with you this afternoon. My name is Juan Thomas, and I have the honor of serving as president of the National Bar Association, which happens to be the largest association of African-American lawyers, judges, and law students in the country. And I want to congratulate you this afternoon because you have the good sense to do what the National Bar Association did not do, and that's to make Marlon Primes your president. Give him a hand for his service. And I will tell you, Marlon and I have kind of grew up in the bar together. He was a big brother to me in the bar. And I counted, looking back in my service to the bar, I've been in 8 NBA elections in my lifetime. And we have to run for office to move up in our leadership in the bar. And you all know something about the number 8, I believe, in Cleveland. I think you've got a young man who's in his 8th final. And I thought about this. I am 7 and 8 in my elections. The only time I lost an election it was to Marlon Primes. We both ran for vice president in 2004. I was a young man in a hurry back then, and this young man beat me in that election. And I'm so glad he did, because it gave me a perspective that I have come to appreciate now as the president of the NBA, and that is it's important to have experience, wisdom, and patience in this job. And so I am here today because my big brother is someone who I've come to admire and respect, because some people want positions because they want to be something. Other people want to serve because they want to do something. And Marlon Primes wants to do something. And as your president, I am confident that he will do something and serve you in such a way that'll make Cleveland proud, make the state of Ohio proud, and our entire nation. And I want you to know, Brother Primes, Mr. President-elect, that on behalf of the National Bar Association, we are proud of you, we love you, and we miss you. And I'm hoping that the Cleveland folks won't work you too hard, because as soon as you want to come back and run for NBA president, we're here to help you. All right. God bless you all. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Juan, and thanks for coming to Cleveland. So it is a great day to celebrate here at our bar, even though it's gloomy outside, and I don't know if I'm the only one who's tired from that game last night. But it's game one. It's game one. We have lots of success yet to come. As we enter our 11th year as a unified Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, which, by the way, represents the 145th year of continuous operation of our predecessor bar associations, I'm pleased to report that the state of our bar is very strong. A few numbers from the past year help tell the story of just how well we're doing. Some of those numbers are featured in the centerfold of today's program. If you didn't know, we're a bar of more than 5,300 members, including more than 4,400 attorneys, 180 paralegals, 250 business affiliates, and 500 law students, our next generation of lawyers. Nearly 50% of our members work in solo, small, or mid-sized law firms. Approximately a quarter work in large firms, 10% in the corporate setting, and nearly 10% of you represent the government sector. And not to be forgotten, we also have a very strong representation of many members who work within the nonprofit, academic, and other non-traditional settings of the law. The depth and breadth of our members' experiences is unquestionably one of the greatest strengths of our bar. This year, as a sign of our bar's strength, we achieved a renewal rate of just under 90%, and we welcomed a fabulous new 439 members who have never been members before to our bar. Approximately 120 of our members lead our 51 sections and committees, which give opportunities for our members to engage with one another in professional development and social networking. And as Darrell will discuss in greater detail in a few minutes, this last fall we also launched a pride and joy of our Bar Association, our brand new Leadership Academy. On the CLE front, our last year saw nearly 4,700 people enroll in one of our 150 different continuing education programs, which featured nearly 1,000 of our members as speakers. And thanks to all of our work through the Lawyer Referral Service, each and every month we are making our lawyers more profitable in Cleveland with over 1,000 referrals a month, and we are helping members of our community who do not know where else to turn to come and to find access to high-quality lawyers who can help them in their times of need. In just the past year, lawyers who participate in the Lawyer Referral Service have produced approximately $900,000 in legal fees from cases referred to them through our Lawyer Referral Service. Finally, an army of more than 1,100 members have volunteered their time and expertise during the past year in support of our community and pro bono initiatives. From our school-based activities like the Ohio and Cleveland mock trials, to the 3 Rs, the Stokes Scholars, and the minority clerkship programs, to the free legal clinics like Reach Out for Nonprofits, Pro Se Divorce, and new this past year, again in collaboration with our partners at the Legal Aid Society, we've launched the legal clinics at the Cleveland Metropolitan School Districts. As you can see, our members are generous with their time and their talent. In total, we've exceeded 20,000 hours of time devoted in our community programs. We can't thank our members enough for all that they do. And fortunately, through events like our Bench Bar Halloween Run for Justice and Rock the Foundation, our Bar Foundation helped raise approximately $300,000 this year that's been used to fund our community and pro bono programs. Meanwhile, with 547 foundation fellows, including 26 brand new fellows this year, we have continued to build financial support through our endowment that will ensure long-term success of our programs for years to come. Finally, beyond the traditional business of the Bar Association and our Bar Foundation, during the past year, we expanded our ability to serve not just the legal community, but also the broader business and nonprofit communities through use of our conference center. More than 17,000 people met us at the bar this year to use our conference center in some capacity. If you weren't one of those 17,000, we would love for you to come visit us anytime and check out our 10 meeting rooms, including our 400-seat auditorium. Yes, it's a sales pitch. And if you're a CMBA member, one more sales pitch, we have free rooms waiting for you. From a member office to 2 conference rooms, we're there to meet you when you need us. So come meet us at the bar. So you can see, based on these numbers alone, you can tell that it's been a very strong year. Because of you, our members, because of our leadership, because of our many financial supporters, and because of the incredible collaborations that we have throughout Northeast Ohio. Thank you, everyone, for making this such an incredible bar year. So now it's my honor to introduce a distinguished group of members who have achieved some incredible milestones in the practice of law, 50 and 65 years of practice. We have 22 members of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association who today are joining the 50-year club, and 13 members who have achieved the incredible 65-year mark. There's a complete listing on page 11 of our program. I'm sorry, that's not the right page. Is it 9? Sorry, someone will shout it out. 6, thank you, Craig. Walter Haverfield wins a prize. Page 6. Page 6 of our program has a complete listing of all of the 50 and 65-year honorees. Those honorees joining us today in person are seated here at the front of the room and can be easily recognized by the yellow boutonnieres that they are wearing. In recognition of their tremendous achievements and the countless contributions that they have made to our profession and our community, the new members of the 50-year club will receive not only our gratitude, but wait, a free lifetime membership in the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association from this day forward. Hey! At this time, it would be my pleasure to invite the members of our new class of 50-year honorees who are in attendance today to please stand as I call your name. And audience, I would invite you to join me in applauding all of our honorees after the last has been introduced. Beginning with our 50-year honorees, we have Richard L. Boylan, Richard H. Brown, Mario C. Ciano, Murray K. Lenson, Stephen H. Steinglass, and David Weiner. In addition to our newest 50-year honorees, as I mentioned, we also are fortunate to be welcoming back several members of the 65-year club. Again, I invite those in attendance to please stand as I call your names. Herbert J. Hopp, Jr., Carl D. Kramer, and Richard W. Pogue. Congratulations, honorees. Your commitment is truly incredible. You really are an inspiration to all of us. We hope you continue to come back and to stay engaged, and more to come on opportunities for you to get further involved as honoree members that we have planned coming up in the next year. At this time, it is now my great pleasure to welcome to the podium Darrell Clay, our president. I think we're down to 9 minutes. Darrell Clay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Before I turn to my prepared remarks, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize 2 very, very special guests that we have in the audience today, and it's a testament to our work at the Bar Association that both Justice Judith French and Justice Mary DiGennaro from the Ohio Supreme Court would take time out of their respective schedules and travel to Cleveland and sit here and be part of our luncheon today. And so I'd ask you all to give a hand of recognition to those justices. Several of our officers and trustees have reached the end of their terms on our foundation and association boards. The dedication of these individuals to our bar is second to none. Through their participation in and commitment to board meetings, committee meetings, foundation fellow campaigns, special events, and more, these individuals have helped us spread the word, spread the gospel about all things CMBA. Collectively and individually, we thank them for their tremendous contributions. Retiring officers and trustees, all of whom are identified on page 9, is that the right page? Page 9 of the program? Will you please stand as I call your name? And members of the audience, would you give them a hearty round of applause after I've introduced all of them? Concluding terms on the Association Board of Trustees, Komlavi Atsu, Marcel Duhamel, Joe Gross, Raymond Kurnasevic, Irene Ranillo, the Honorable Brendan Sheehan, Kelly Zacharias, and last but certainly not least, our immediate past president, Rick Maniloff. Concluding terms as officers on the Foundation Board are Pat Krebs, Vice President of Special Events, Hugh McKay, Co-Vice President of Endowment, Ginger Malarkar, Co-Vice President of Endowment, Rosemary Sweeney, Treasurer, and the Foundation's outgoing President, Mitch Blair. And finally, concluding terms as trustees on the Foundation Board are Abigail Greiner, Bethany Murray, and the 2016-2017 Foundation President, Drew Parabek. Ladies and gentlemen, without your dedication and hard work, our bar would not have made the tremendous progress that it has in just a few short years. So thank you to our retiring officers and trustees. When you see any of these folks leaving today, please give them thanks, both for me and for all of you as our members, for their hard work. One of the great traditions of the CMBA is the annual recognition of a Cleveland area lawyer or judge who embodies some aspect of the character of late federal judge William K. Thomas. I never met him, but as a member of the William K. Thomas Inn of Court, I've certainly been made aware that Judge Thomas's notable traits included civility, creativity, decency, and steadfast ability to act as a catalyst for change. Past honorees who have received this award exemplify the highest ethical and professional standards in dealing with clients, adversaries, and the courts. And through public service, pro bono, or volunteerism, they have been advocates for the justice system and the legal profession. As you'll see on page 12 of your program, I have the honor of presenting not one, but two individuals, two extremely deserving individuals with this year's William K. Thomas Professionalism Award. Susan Becker truly embodies the ideals of Judge Thomas, and she did so at every step of her legal career. For 23 years, she was a professor at her alma mater, Cleveland Marshall College of Law, where she mentored hundreds of law students and faculty members and ignited in many a flame of idealism and service. As a judicial law clerk for the Sixth Circuit, a litigator at Jones Day, and most recently as general counsel for the ACLU, where she serves without compensation, Susan has unfailingly adhered to the highest and best standards of legal professionalism. She exhibits patience, fairness, and civility to all, including opposing counsel who don't always reciprocate. Susan has devoted much of her professional life to being a catalyst for change in the pursuit of LGBT rights. Among other accomplishments, she contributed a significant amount of time and her formidable litigation skills to the Supreme Court's merit briefing in the landmark Obergefell case. Freda Levinson of the ACLU said Susan was, quote, an important thinker and architect during the years of litigation strategy to achieve marriage equality. It's a pleasure to bestow upon Susan Becker, an advocate for the justice system and a catalyst for change, the CMBA's 2018 William K. Thomas Professionalism Award. Congratulations, Susan.
Rob will take your picture right here.
Our second recipient is Mario Ciano. Throughout his 50-year career as a trial attorney, Mario has conducted himself with dignity, courtesy, and respect when dealing with clients, opposing counsel, colleagues, and the courts. While serving as Reminger's managing partner, he established himself as a true servant leader, modeling for legions of lawyers the importance of putting others first and treating others the way they would want to be treated. As an energetic and articulate lawyer, he created a legacy of determination, compassion, and creative problem solving. Although his professional accomplishments are numerous, for his most important work, Mario was not paid. Mario came to the U.S. at the age of 9 and spent his first year in this country as an orphan. He was eventually adopted by an Italian-American family, an experience that inspired pro bono service in the area of private placement adoption. For the past 25 years, Mario has given, in the truest sense of the word, given countless hours of his time to help friends, colleagues, and clients navigate their way through agencies and probate courts to ensure children are united with their forever families at birth. It's a privilege to bestow upon Mario Ciano, a lawyer's lawyer and a champion of children and families, the CMBA's 2018 William K. Thomas Professionalism Award.
Congrats, Rob. Well done. I'm sorry, Phil is stuck at the bar.
Thank you so much. Step up here, Rob, get a picture of us, and here's your award. Thank you so much.
Look at that.
Each year, the CMBA's Justice for All Committee honors a volunteer who has provided exemplary service to the greater Cleveland community in pro bono and public service. The Volunteer of the Year Award recognizes those who give their time and expertise in meaningful and significant ways throughout the year to serve those in need. Their examples are inspiring, and through their volunteer efforts, they truly do make a difference in the lives of so many. This year, the recipient of the Justice for All Award is a partner with the law firm of Browse McDowell, Gabrielle Kelly. For those who are fortunate enough to know Gabe, as we know her, you know her as a tireless, passionate volunteer for the bar. Just some of her accolades: for more than a decade, service as a 3Rs volunteer, then serving as a member of the 3Rs Oversight Committee, and in 2016-17, she chaired the 3Rs Committee. She's been a coach for the Cleveland Mock Trial Competition and a member of the Minority Clerkship Program Steering Committee. She's past chair of the Women in Law section. And then 2 years ago, she became a member of the Board of Trustees, so we won't be letting go for her for another year. Frankly, I don't know when Gabe sleeps. It's my honor to recognize Gabe for all her many contributions to our bar as we present her with the 2018 Justice for All Volunteer Award. Obligatory photo.
Okay.
Just pretend it's you and me and Kim Kardashian.
Just a little twist towards there. Twist your whole self just a little bit. There we go. One more.
So now it's my opportunity to hog the microphone for 20 or 30 more minutes and tell you about life as the president of the Bar Association. It's hard to believe that it was just 12 short months ago that we gathered a public auditorium and I took the oath of office. And I used as an inspirational phrase one that I learned when I was hanging out on the banks of the Mississippi as a law student and budding young lawyer in New Orleans. And if I didn't say it the right way, Rick Maniloff would come in and correct me. And the saying is, laissez les bon temps rouler. And so truly the last year has been full of good times, both for me and for our membership. You heard, for example, that this year we convened a Leadership Academy designed to provide leadership and professional development programming for both emerging and established leaders. Our intention was to provide a laboratory for these leaders to realize their potential and to foster them as future leaders of our association, our foundation, and our community. The 34 members of the first class, whose names are listed on page 15 of your program, have more than surpassed our expectations for this new offering. A testament to the program's success is that one participant, Awatef Assad, will shortly take the oath of office and be sworn in as a member of the association's board of directors. At this time, I would invite all members of the inaugural CMBA Leadership Academy to please stand and be recognized for their commitment to helping lead our bar and community. Beginning last September, class members attended monthly sessions focused on how to expand their leadership skills and create future opportunities for leadership within our bar, our profession, and our community. Class members also participated in team projects where they were challenged to take on a bar initiative and develop a plan for ways to engage and potentially transform our membership. The teams focused on a variety of bar imperatives, including a modest means legal initiative, broadening the impact of the bar's judicial ratings process, expanding the depth and breadth of the bar's engagement with in-house counsel, and establishing a judicial boot camp for those intrigued by the prospect of running for judge. And we put them to the test. We put them in front of an esteemed panel of judges who graded every single one of these projects with criteria like, what's the quantity and quality of collaboration that's going to be required? Are they creative? Are they innovative? Are they specific? Are they sensible? Are they sustainable? On behalf of the judges panel, I'm pleased to report that the 2018 winner of the Leadership Academy Team Project Competition is the Cleveland Legal Inclusion 2020 team. And I would ask the following members of that team to stand and be recognized for their work. Awatef Assad, Monica Christofferson, Katie Franz, Andrea Canast, Pat Krebs, Todd Matsuda, and Hal Maxfield. Congratulations to each of you, and you can read all of the details about the winning proposal in the June issue of the Bar Journal magazine. And then stay tuned for future communications about how we're going to take all of these projects and make them a reality. And one last thing, if you're interested in being a member of the 2019 Leadership Academy class, I'm pleased to report it's not too late. When you leave here, go right back to your office, sign on the website, and submit your paperwork because you've got until 5 o'clock today. You have plenty of time. Beyond the launching of our Leadership Academy, the past year also saw our governance committee take on the somewhat Herculean task of reviewing our code of regulations, which hadn't been touched since the 2007 merger of the Cleveland and Cuyahoga County Bar Associations. Over a 10-month period, we studied best practices from other bar associations in Ohio and across the country. We assessed our own internal culture and organizational needs, and we developed a comprehensive set of revisions that we published to you, our members, earlier this year. Voting on the amendments closed last week, and I'm pleased to report that they passed by an overwhelming majority, and they're effective immediately. So I'm deeply indebted to everyone who served on that committee outside of the spotlight to take care of that very important task. We also made huge strides over the last year in our goal of becoming the go-to organization in Northeast Ohio on issues of law and justice. For example, in September, we joined Ohio Business Competes, a nonpartisan coalition of businesses committed to achieving non-discrimination policies at the statewide level. We held monthly hot talks on wide-ranging topics, including the hashtag #MeToo movement, the opioid crisis, guns in the community. We continued our role in Judge for Yourself, helping to provide nonpartisan rankings of judicial candidates. And frankly, while those ratings aren't always popular with every single candidate, we're convinced that we're doing the right thing and that we follow an appropriate process. So we will continue to do that. Over the last year, we supported our friends at the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland when they faced the threat of the elimination of funding to the Federal Legal Services Corporation. When they couldn't speak, we spoke for them. And thankfully, Congress heard the outcry against the elimination of funding for the Legal Services Corporation. So not only did they not eliminate it, but they raised funding by $25 million to the highest appropriation to LSC since 2010. Whew, that's heady stuff. And you might think that being the bar president is all work. And there's quite a bit of work that you have to do. But there's plenty of opportunities for fun. And let me just highlight a couple. In October, I brought my wife Mary in our herd of grandchildren to the Halloween Run for Justice, helping to raise money for the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation. It might have been overcast and a bit rainy that day, but we weren't going to let that get us down. And best of all, the foundation raised $29,000 for our Justice for All programs. In February, Mary and I went to the costume closet again, and we got our best Mardi Gras attire out, and we went to Rock the Foundation 13 at the Music Box Supper Club. And we helped honor the recipient of the Richard W. Pogue Award for Excellence in Community Leadership and Engagement, Frank Sullivan, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of RPM International, Inc. My personal thanks to Foundation President Mitch Blair and the rest of the Foundation leadership team for the absolutely amazing work they've done over this year. Without the unwavering support of the Foundation and the generosity of its many contributors, our association simply would not be able to sustain the programming and service opportunities our members have come to expect. And on a personal note, Mitch, it's been wonderful getting to know you and work with you, and thank you for your tireless dedication to the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation. In March, I got to go to Goodyear, Arizona for our second annual Destination CLE. And attendees heard not only from fantastic speakers, but on Friday evening, we watched the Indians crush the hometown Arizona Diamondbacks with, 10,000 or so of our closest friends. And the post-game fireworks were just icing on the cake. In New Orleans, we'd call that just a little lagniappe, just a little something extra. But unfortunately, all good times have to come to a close. And that holds true with my time as the CMBA president. I'm deeply indebted to CEO Becky Rupert McMahon and the rest of the CMBA staff for the relentless support that they have provided over the years. I'm particularly grateful to CMBA Bar Counsel Heather Zerke. 6 or 7 years ago, I approached her and I said, I'd like to get more involved in a committee. What do you think? And she didn't laugh, and she actually let me do it. And so, perhaps more so than anyone else, it's Heather that launched me on the trajectory that brings me here today, saying goodbye to all of you. So thank you to Heather. To my partners and colleagues at Walter & Haverfield, particularly the managing partner, Ralph Cascarilla, my extraordinary assistant, Roseanne Dunlap, all these people who kept asking, anybody know where Daryl is today? They never said no. And without that kind of support, it would be impossible to hold this role. So thank you, guys and ladies. Again, to my wife, Mary, and this large family that we have. Over the last 364 days, they've all been asked the same question. Hey, where's Daryl? Innumerable times. And every time they answered with grace and understanding and indulgence. And so that was the unyielding support that I needed to finish this task. Thank you. So the role of bar president is incredibly rewarding and simultaneously challenging. It demands that you have at your immediate availability a huge spectrum of skills. Let me just mention a couple. Consensus building, emotional intelligence, whatever that is, avoidance of hubris, because after all, you put your pants on one leg at a time just like everybody else. Knowledge of issues impacting our community, maybe things that you don't even know anything about, but that are critical to people. As you climb the leadership ladder, it should become readily apparent that you can't do it by yourself. At least I couldn't. I needed people around me to educate me, to be my sounding board, to point out the flaws in my reasoning every once in a while, sensitize me to things that maybe I hadn't considered. And over the years, any number of people helped fill that role. But one of them made extraordinary contributions to me personally. Day or night, whenever I needed this person's thoughtful counsel, regardless of where his demanding travel schedule had him located, he made himself available to me. He was, to borrow a phrase, my personal bar whisperer. And in so doing, he created a debt I will never be able to repay. And what's more, he did this not for any glory and not for any publicity. He did his work behind the scenes, virtually without public credit, content merely in the knowledge and satisfaction that he was serving the best interests of our association for no reason other than it was the right thing to do. Now, maybe you think I'm referring to a past bar president, somebody who's been there, done that, and got the T-shirt to prove it. I'm not. I'm not even talking about a lawyer. I'm talking about one of the public representatives of our Bar Association board, none other than Bruce Hennis, Chief Executive Officer of Hennis Communications. Bruce was a member of the board when I first joined it in 2010, and it is my personal hope that he will continue his faithful service for many, many years to come. I'm convinced that we are a better association today because of Bruce's candid and insightful contributions to our governance and decision-making. I certainly know that I was a better president because I had Bruce on my iPhone speed dial list. Bruce, would you please come up and accept the 2018 President's Award in recognition of your many years of truly extraordinary service to the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association.
Yeah, you get to hold this, and I get a hug.
Wow. Rob wants our photo. Right up here. Congratulations again, Bruce, and thank you for all you have done in support of our bar. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my last task as the 2017-2018 president of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. As I have said to many people, at least a couple people who would listen to me over the last few weeks, it has been the singular highlight of my professional career. Together, we achieved the goal that I set last year of making bar history. Laissez le bon temps rouler. And with that, I will cede the gavel to Marlon Primes.
So now you see why it's been my absolute privilege to spend the past year teamed up with Daryl Clay as the president of the Bar Association. In an era where made-up facts, half-truths, and prolific self-promotion can sometimes seem as though they're gaining traction, President Daryl Clay has been an unwavering example of an authentic, passionate, genuine, and transparent servant leader. On behalf of a profoundly grateful bar, and as well as our team of dedicated professional staff, Daryl, I'm going to say thank you again. And now that all the accolades have been given, I have to say goodbye to you. And I get to shift my focus over here to our incoming president. We are so delighted as we get ready to conclude this bar year and kick off a brand new bar year to be going through this process of celebrating and welcoming our change of leadership in an orderly, planned, and exciting ways in many instances. Transitioning from the one class act to another is my absolute delight as the woman who's in the middle. To get things started for us, it is my great honor to introduce someone who has been a mentor and a friend to our incoming president, as well as many others in this room. He's also been a much-needed catalyst for positive change in our community. And when he retired at the end of 2017 after serving a remarkable 36 years on the Cleveland Municipal Court, including spending his last 8 years as the administrative and presiding judge for that court, he received a literal avalanche of accolades. Thank you, Judge Ronald B. Adrin, for joining us today, for taking a break from your recent appointment as a jurist in residence at the Cleveland Marshall College of Law. We're so pleased you were able to join us and to introduce our incoming 13th president of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, Marlon Primes.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Becky and Daryl, thank you for giving me this opportunity. It is a singular pleasure to be able to perform this particular task. I want to say to Daryl, thank you so much for the leadership that you've offered to us for the course of the last year. Having been the president of a bar association, I have a real good understanding of what the sacrifices were. And so thank you very much. Turning to the task at hand, the key to good public speaking is to be brief, be brilliant, and be seated. And that's particularly true when you're the one that's doing an introduction. So what I want to do this afternoon is to just focus on one aspect of what I know about Marlon Primes. In the world of organized bar leaders, there are show horses and there are workhorses. Now, Marlon looks like a show horse. But, don't let that pretty face fool you. He's really a workhorse. Bar leadership is an honor and a privilege, but some people get it right away, some people get it sooner or later, and some people never get it. Marlon Primes was one of those people who got it right away. When he came to Cleveland, I don't know exactly how it is that he sought us out, but he found the Norman S. Minor Bar Association, which at that time was about in its 13th year of existence. And we'd had our struggles. We'd had good leaders. We'd had people who were not so good leaders. We'd had people who were abysmal leaders. But Marlon came and he wanted to know what we were about and what we did. There was an old commercial a few years ago about a some kids who were given some cereal. And there was a new cereal, and so they said to one another, let's give it to Mikey, he'll eat anything. And for those of you who remember that commercial, you know the upshot was that this was an individual who was anxious to make good and to take what was put in front of him. Marlon was one of those kind of folks who just kind of, just took it all in. Just gathered it all in as it related to what the organized bar was about in the Norman S. Minor Bar Association. And one of our affiliations was with the National Bar Association, but we really hadn't had anybody who had been willing to fill that role for a good little while. And so at the time, we asked Marlon if he would be our representative to the National Bar Association for our region. He took on that responsibility. Next thing we knew, he was the regional chair. We thought that was pretty good and, made us look good. A few minutes later, a few hours later, it seemed almost immediately, he was on the national scene. And as you've heard, he rose to the level of first vice president of that organization. Again, it was because of his desire to serve that he was able to put his foot forward and never asked anything of anyone else other than the opportunity. Marlon is the epitome of the servant leader. And just as Darrell has filled that role, Marlon fills that role in spades. He is an individual who humbly goes about the business of the organization without looking for the plaudits that come when you get something done. He just gets it done. The Bar Association has done extremely well to select this individual at this time to lead it. They couldn't have picked a better leader. They couldn't have picked a better lawyer. They couldn't have picked a better person than Marlon Primes. And it is my great and profound honor to bring him forward as the next leader of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, Marlon Primes.
Thank you for your kind words, Judge Adrian, and thank you for being here. Judge Oliver? Kathy?
Thank you, Marlon. While his wife and son come, let me just say how honored I am to be asked by Marlon to swear him in today and to swear in the other board members. I've known Marlon for now quite a long time. As most of you know, he's an assistant U.S. attorney, so he's come in my court many times. And of course, I've interacted with him not only through the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar, but the other bar associations that he's been involved in. And I can say this about Marlon, that in addition to being an extremely competent attorney who will represent, always does represent his client vigorously, that as an assistant United States attorney, he understood well and does understand very well what one justice said many years ago, that his job was not just to win a case, but to see that justice was done. And so I've appreciated that about Marlon in his practice before the court. But Marlon has been, as Judge Adrian suggests, a model lawyer. And a model lawyer means that you do more than just do your job as a lawyer, but you understand that it's a profession. And that means as a profession that there are obligations beyond what you do for a client. You have obligations to the court. You have obligations to the larger society. And so he has worked through this Bar Association and others to make sure that there is equal justice before the law. He's worked on diversity programs. He's worked on programs for lawyer training. He's worked on the full gamut. And I think that a Bar Association really is the moral compass of society, of our profession. And I've had the opportunity to be a member of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar myself for many, many years. And I've served on committees when I was a lawyer, and I've served on committees as a judge. And our court, United States District Court for the Northern District of Ohio, has always appreciated the opportunity to work collaboratively with the bar on its many programs. And our Chief Judge Gahn, is here today, Patricia Gahn, and I just want to make sure you knew that. So Judge Adrian said, be brief. And perhaps I wasn't supposed to say anything, Judge Adrian, but I took the opportunity. So let me get before me the oath so that I can administer that oath to Marlon. And will you raise your right hand, Marlon, and repeat after me. I state your name,
Marlon A. Primes,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the articles
that I will support the articles
and regulations of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar.
and regulations of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar.
Actually, I didn't get those. I didn't take that as Marlon.
Don't worry. It's okay.
No, I'm not swearing you into a new paying job, just a hard-working one.
It's fine, perfectly fine.
I, Marlon Primes,
I, Marlon A. Primes,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the articles and regulations
that I will support the articles and regulations
of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association,
of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association,
and I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and honestly
and honestly
and impartially discharge the duties
and impartially discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Oliver. I really appreciate your kind remarks, and it truly has been a pleasure practicing in your court. Thank you very much. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the newly elected officers of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association. The complete list is printed on page 16 of your program. Officers, please come forward as your name is called and join us in the front of the stage for the administration of the oath of office by Judge Solomon Oliver, Jr. And as they're making their way up to the stage, I'll go ahead and read their names. Ian N. Friedman, President-elect. Ian will assume the presidency in 2019. Joseph N. Gross, Vice President. Joe will assume the presidency in 2020. Ann M. Karasani, Treasurer. Rebecca Rupert Murdoch, Secretary. Ryan P. Nolan, Vice President of Membership. Gregory G. Geis, Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion. I'd also like to introduce some individuals who will be starting new 3-year terms as trustees for the association, as identified again on page 16 of your program. Awatif Assad, Thomas G. Herron, Kathleen A. Nitschke, Jay Milano, the Honorable John J. Russo, and John P. Slater. The current chair of the Young Lawyer Section also serves on the Association Board of Trustees. This year's Young Lawyer Section chair is Abigail A. Greiner. And now to introduce the new president and the trustees of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation, who are again I invite to join us in the front of the auditorium. We have Stephanie E. Duchess Trudeau, president of our foundation. Meredith Shoup, A current representative of the Young Lawyers section also serves on the Foundation Board of Trustees. This year's Young Lawyers representative is Kevin P. Donahue. Please join me in recognizing and thanking all these individuals for their willingness to serve our Bar Association. Thank you.
Congratulations to you. Before I swear you in, let me add my congratulations to Darrell Clay and the other outgoing members of the board for their tremendous work over this last year. And so I'd ask all of you now who will be sworn in this morning to raise, this afternoon, I guess I should say, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the articles and regulations of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association. And I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties of my office to the best of my ability. So help me God. Again, congratulations to you.
Let's give our new board members another round of applause. I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. We have a great crowd. And I also just want to thank Judge Oliver and Judge Adrian. Judge Adrian, just thank you for that very kind introduction. I really appreciate it. I also appreciate your mentorship and getting me involved in the Bar Association when I arrived in Cleveland 27 years ago. You certainly set me on a journey that led me to this podium today. Thank you. I also want to thank my lovely wife, Kathy Howard Primes. My son, Marcus. And my daughter, Kayla, who missed her flight this morning, so she's crushed, but she's with us in spirit. And Kayla's a recent graduate of Howard University. One of the best pieces of advice that many of you gave me when I was a young lawyer was to involve my family in my bar practice and my legal career. And I really took that to heart. So one of the things that I did throughout my career was to have my family serve as my mock witnesses, mock judges, and mock jurors in cases that I've litigated. And I always knew that if I could withstand their scrutiny, that I truly was prepared for whatever I would encounter in real legal proceedings. That was, of course, until they started watching too many episodes of Law and Order, and they had the nerve to start objecting and threaten me to hold me in contempt of court. But seriously, though, thank you for your love and support. I love you guys. I also want to thank my wife, Kathy, a second time. Kathy's company, Momentum Tutoring, is one of our table sponsors. And I also would like to thank Kathy because we met so many years ago when we were presidents of student organizations at Ohio University. And we have been helping each other's organizations ever since. So thank you for your love, your support, and your encouragement, and your continued involvement in our Bar Association. Also would like to recognize my mother, Minnie Primes, who's here, and so many of my brothers and sisters that came, Rondalyn, Marvin, Robin, Mylan, and so many others. Thank you so much for being here. I have so many cousins, uncles, aunts, nieces, other relatives, in-laws, and friends that are here from throughout northeastern Ohio, Columbus, Toledo, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Atlanta, Nashville, Texas, and California. I especially want to thank my uncle, Donald, for traveling here from San Francisco. Each and every one of you are truly my inspiration. Thanks so very much for being here. I want to thank and recognize my classmates and teachers from Archbishop Hoban High School that are here, especially, believe it or not, my high school teachers that are here, Mr. Cody and Mr. Stetz. And I'd also like to thank my classmates and alumni from Ohio University for being here, and my classmates and alumni from Georgetown Law School for being here as well. Thanks to my pastor, Todd Davison, and my Antioch Church family. And I also want to thank my employer, U.S. Attorney Justin Herdman, and so many of my colleagues at the U.S. Attorney's Office for joining us today. And then I see former U.S. Attorneys Carol Rondon, and I believe Steve Dettelbach is here as well, and so I want to thank both of them. Special thanks again to Becky, Krista, and the rest of our Bar Association staff for their work on our annual meeting, and thanks to immediate past president Darrell Clay for his service during this bar year. I also believe we have a milestone here. This is the first time a president of the National Bar Association has attended one of our annual meetings in Cleveland, so I really appreciate you, President Thomas, for coming here from Chicago to be with us today. And we look forward to working with the NBA to jumpstart a number of our diversity initiatives. I also just want to thank each and every one of you for your tremendous support in electing me president of this organization. I'm truly honored. Finally, I want to direct your attention, if I could, to our Stokes Scholars that are in attendance today. If they can stand up so we can recognize them. Recognize them and also all the volunteers that make this program a success. The Stokes Scholars Program is a program that allows a diverse group of college students to obtain legal internships to hopefully steer them into the legal profession. Stokes Scholars, our 3Rs high school tutoring program, and so many other projects are supported by so many dedicated volunteers and the great work of our Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation. We now have a video that describes the outstanding work of our Bar Foundation that's led by new foundation president, Stephanie Trudeau.
Well, the mission of the foundation is lawyers giving back. And we do that in a number of ways, not just in the Cleveland schools and the East Cleveland schools, but also with a lot of programs that help people of lesser means, whether it's people involved in the arts, whether it's the homeless, whether it's people seeking domestic relations help, and there's a great need for that.
One of the most visible, in my view, programs of the Bar Foundation is the 3Rs program, where lawyers go into the schools and they teach and they serve as volunteer teachers to students in the classroom in real life experiences, and they make relevant what lawyers do, and they also inspire some of these students to become interested in becoming lawyers.
I learned about the 3Rs program in high school. I remember a group of very well-dressed, well-spoken attorneys came in to speak with us about our constitutional rights. And I took such a liking to the curriculum that I was invited to participate in the annual Cleveland Mock Trial competition that year.
Well, I think it's great for lawyers to be out there in the community and educating members of the community on what the legal profession is all about, why it's important to obey laws and that sort of thing. And in the process of going into the schools and into the community, they sort of give the best face of the legal profession to ordinary people, and I think that's very important.
But I didn't seriously contemplate on becoming a lawyer until my junior year of high school. My guidance counselor said, "Xavier, I know you're interested in law and politics. You should look at this program." And it was the Stephanie Tufts Jones Summer Legal Academy. And she said, "You should apply." And after that program, that's when I seriously thought, you know, this is something that I can do. It's something that I'll think about doing.
You know, the best way for someone to get involved with the Bar Foundation and the Bar Association is just join. Come and see what the programs are, and you will find something that you like and that you'll be swept up in.
The Halloween run is a fun event. People come in costume, they bring their families, and you don't always have to run. You can walk if you want to. In addition, there's volunteer opportunities around the Rock the Foundation event. That takes a village to put on. It's a large event, our biggest fundraiser.
What in the world is rocktail attire?
The Public Servants Luncheon is a large event. That's a great source of volunteers to help put us on the map with those folks and put it together. And it's a very heartwarming event as well. I don't know how well even the members of the bar really know the impact of the programs of the bar and how much we do in the Cleveland community.
My name is Janae Hansen. I will be a graduate of Cleveland Marshall College of Law in 2021.
Hi, I'm Xavier Thomas Hughes, and I will be a graduate from the Georgetown University Law Center in 2021.
Let's thank our Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation again. Our theme today is Back to the Future. And of course, you remember the iconic trilogy of movies featuring the lovable but eccentric Professor Emmett Brown, his DeLorean time machine, and the unwitting time traveler, Marty McFly. Remember? Well, it's only fitting that in honor of our theme today, that we go back 100 years ago to rural Georgia, when a tall, determined, and handsome young man began planning his path to northeastern Ohio to create a new beginning for himself and his family. It was a journey without the technology that we've grown accustomed to today, and without many of the luxuries of the last century. It involved a 2-day train trip to northeastern Ohio. He eventually landed work at one of the tire factories in Akron. And although he had a menial job, he dressed impeccably because he knew a brighter day was coming for himself and his family. Although barely literate, he sometimes visited the local courts and observed the legal proceedings. So today, about 100 years later, it's a tribute to the determination, strength, and vision of George Prime Sr. and his wife Annabelle, that they can look down from heaven and see that their grandson is an attorney and the president of one of the largest and most prestigious bar associations in our country. Thank them. But for our purposes today, what's important about George and Annabelle Prime's story is that it is a story of northeastern Ohio, because many of your relatives also made their way to northeastern Ohio from the Jim Crow South, or the Emerald Isle, or from behind the Iron Curtain, or from so many other parts of the globe. They faced tremendous odds and many headwinds, but their strength, determination, and vision led them here to help future generations of relatives that they would barely know or never meet. These new residents were the muscle behind the factories of so many Fortune 500 companies that dotted our landscape. Factories that made northeastern Ohio an industrial giant and the envy of other cities and regions around the world. Our companies created a number of firsts in our nation. We had the first mall in the country, a short distance from here at the old arcade. We also had the nation's first business park, which was founded by General Electric Lighting, and it literally lit up the entire world. We also were home to one of the largest companies in the world, Standard Oil. Its founder, John D. Rockefeller, was said to be so powerful that he could set the world price for oil by himself. We also had the distinction of playing an important role in establishing the national philanthropic community, because the United Way and the Cleveland Foundation began in our city. Cleveland was also a national leader when it established the Metro Parks and a Legal Aid Society. Although our theme today is Back to the Future, you don't need Professor Emmett Brown's time machine to understand that all of this success was in part because of Cleveland's vibrant legal community. 100 years ago, our law firms were among the largest in the country, and Jones Day, Squire Sanders, Baker Hostetler, and Thompson Hine were founded in Cleveland, and they and other Cleveland firms were the national model of the 20th century law firm. Our legal community was so sophisticated that it formed a bar association in 1873, 5 full years before the American Bar Association was founded. The leaders of our legal community also established the Ohio State Bar Association in our city. So if you go back to the future and look at our history in the context that each generation of Clevelanders runs a leg of a relay race in their respective era, the rich history of Northeastern Ohio demonstrates that our ancestors had a very, very big lead when they passed the baton to us. They gained the lead and set many national standards through a simple recipe for success. Number one, working hard at their respective places of employment to make a better day for their families and their colleagues. And number two, working together with attorneys from different employers to create and maintain institutions to help current and future generation of Clevelanders. These are precisely my goals for the coming bar year and the goals of the strategic plan of our Bar Association. We hope to help lawyers continue to provide the best service to their clients by providing cutting-edge legal training and networking opportunities, and work together as a cohesive legal community to maintain our Bar Association and other institutions for our benefit and the benefit of current and future Clevelanders. During this year, we hope to reach these goals by, number one, creating a unique historical series that will honor and recognize our past accomplishments. Number two, continuing to offer programs to bring our law schools and our legal community closer together. Three, building on our momentum to be thought leaders by creating a symposium to help us continue to improve and enhance our legal system. And number four, continuing to promote diversity and retention. Number one, History Project. As I previously stated, we have a rich legal history in Cleveland. However, we should do a better job sharing our story. So this year in our Bar Journal, we will highlight historical Cleveland lawyers that have made our community better than they found it. The series will be coordinated by attorney John Lewis and will profile icons such as Newton Baker, who not only founded the Baker Hostetler law firm, but he served as Cleveland's mayor, and he was a modern-day equivalent of the U.S. Secretary of Defense. Attorney Lloyd O. Brown was one of the first African Americans to serve on the Ohio Supreme Court, and he created a foundation that helped so many law students pay for their legal education. Former Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones, who was one of the first African American females in the country to serve as an elected prosecutor, and so many more outstanding men and women from our city that have made our community stronger. These profiles will not only share important stories about our past, but they'll inspire current and future generations of leaders in our legal community to walk in their footsteps. Number two, cooperation. One of the reasons why our ancestors were successful creating our Bar Association and so many institutions was because of the spirit of cooperation between attorneys at different employers. We'll try to replicate this spirit of cooperation by hosting one of the first receptions for law students from Case Western Reserve School of Law and Cleveland Marshall College of Law on September 13th. Our research has shown that 70% of lawyers in this community went to law school locally, and our community can only benefit when future lawyers and future leaders get an early opportunity to interact with one another. Irrespective of where you went to law school, the outside world simply views us as Cleveland lawyers. So why not promote this type of cooperation that will hopefully spread to other segments of our legal community? We will all certainly reap the benefits. I can also tell you from my personal experience of attending law school at Georgetown that I greatly benefited from interacting with students at other law schools in the DC area. It made me a better person and enhanced my knowledge and overall educational experience. We want to extend these opportunities to future leaders of our Cleveland legal community. Number three, innovation. A simple spin in our Back to the Future time machine reveals that one of the past accomplishments of our community was recognizing a need and creating a new national model to address the concern. That is how the United Way and other philanthropic organizations were established in Cleveland. Similarly, in our internet and social media age, there's no better time to help our community get an accurate view of what we do in the legal profession. We are certainly overdue for a candid discussion about what we can do to make our judicial system more just and more accessible. Consequently, in cooperation with my alma mater, the E.W. Scripps School of Journalism at Ohio University, we will hold a unique media law summit where we'll explore how the media and lawyers can work together to develop best practices to promote the rule of law, the fair and efficient litigation of legal disputes, and a better understanding of our legal framework. During our summit, we'll have a panel of some of the most outstanding journalists in the country, including a live remote with Pulitzer Prize winner Wes Lowry of the Washington Post, and live appearances from the former editor of the Akron Beacon Journal and journalists that cover the U.S. Department of Justice and the White House for the Washington Post and USA Today. We'll also have a panel of some of my colleagues at the U.S. Attorney's Office and other outstanding litigators that will share the best practices for litigating high-profile cases in the social media and internet age. Number 4, diversity and retention. Last but certainly not least, our Back to the Future time machine reveals that the unfinished business of the last century is finding new and innovative ways to promote diversity in our legal profession. We still need to make more progress in this area. Our Bar Association has made important strides with our outreach programs through the stewardship of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation. We have the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Summer Legal Academy to teach a diverse group of high school students about the legal profession. Our Stokes Scholars Program continues this momentum by working with college students and steering them into the legal profession. Our Minority Clerkship Program helps a diverse group of first-year students obtain opportunities to work for so many different legal employers throughout our city. Brandon Brown began working with our Bar Association when he was in 7th grade, and he was able to participate in all these pipeline programs. I'm so proud that Brandon has completed law school, and he has a license to practice law in the state of Ohio. I believe Brandon is here in attendance today. Somewhere. Let's give Brandon a round of applause. As a result of our pipeline initiatives and Brandon's outstanding example, we have 10 other students from our bar programs in law school, and we have 2 additional law school graduates. We look forward to all of them joining our legal profession and becoming a part of our Cleveland legal community. In addition to our pipeline programs, we need to make sure we do everything that we can to promote retention of a diverse workforce. With Gregory Geis, our Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion, I've met with the presidents of the local bar associations of color and have explored ways to promote diversity and retention. One idea from our meeting is recognizing that we have leaders of Fortune 500 companies in New York and so many cities around the country that are saying they sell products to a diverse population and they want a more diverse group of attorneys to handle their legal work. Since attorneys now practice law across state lines, these companies are willing to hire diverse attorneys outside of their respective states. Our challenge with retention is to find ways to inform these companies that we have an outstanding group of attorneys of color in Cleveland that can do their legal work across the country. If the Diversity Committee is successful in creating a legal directory or helping to facilitate a discussion between the general counsels of these companies and our outstanding attorneys of color, this could result in additional legal business coming to our city and provide another important incentive to promote and retain a diverse workforce. This potential project with general counsels from around the country will not be an easy project to complete. I realize that. It will be difficult, and it will certainly require our brightest minds in our diversity committee and throughout our bar to create a new national model to make it a success. However, as we know from our Back to the Future time machine, ingenuity and creating new models is a story of Northeastern Ohio. It is our birthright. It is a part of our historical DNA. So let's get it done this bar year. This project is also imperative because it reflects the current reality in our legal profession. General counsels from around the country will tell you that they are currently being evaluated based upon whether they are able to hire a diverse group of attorneys to handle their company's legal cases. Therefore, to address this current reality, our Diversity Committee will need the support of the entire bar to create diversity programs and share best practices to help interested local firms meet and exceed the diversity requirements the general counsels are now imposing. Well, today, we began our journey 100 years ago in rural Georgia. It's only fitting that we conclude by focusing in on 100 years from now in Cleveland. At that time, the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association will be celebrating its 111th anniversary. And absent a real DeLorean time machine or a medical marvel, none of us will be there. But when we run our leg of the relay race within our respective era, with the determination to help our current and future relatives and colleagues, and work to uplift our bar and other institutions. We do not run alone, for we are guided by the winds of our faith, and we stir the echoes of George and Annabelle Primes and your ancestors who run beside us during our journey while whispering the words and the names of our greatest icons. Some of our greatest icons: Newton Baker, Lloyd O. Brown, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, and so many others. Although we may grow weary and face an occasional headwind, we can rest assured in knowing that if we follow the recipe for success of those that have gone before us, we too can pass the baton to a new generation of Clevelanders with our families, our employers, our bar association, and our community in a much better place than we found them. Thank you. Now, back to the future.